My name is James Martin. I went to the Navy in World War II and went to boot camp in Camp Hill in Farragut, Idaho, and took my boot training for 8 weeks. Then I went to Florida, and we done maneuvers there for
for a boat? Well, whatever, we'll come back to it.
It kind of slips my mind. I can't remember.
Well, you did maneuvers, and then what happened next?
The amphibious forces
Okay.
is what I went into, and I was on a smoke boat.
What is that?
That was in Okinawa.
What is a
Well,
smoke?
I got on the ship after we went through all our maneuvers in Fort Pierce, Florida. Then I went to the ship, the USS Aurelia, aka 21, and we sailed over to Hawaii, and then from Hawaii we went on to Okinawa in a fleet, and then we run smoke deals at dawn and dusk alert.
And what's a smoke ship?
Well, it was a small boat, a Higgins boat with 4 of us guys on and an ensign. And we would lay smoke screens. There was 2 boats with 2 crews. One would go one way and the other one would go the other way, and we was laying this smoke screen for the dawn and dusk alerts when the Japs had come in, you know, with their planes, and they couldn't see the ship. So one time the coxswain got a little bit off course.
Put your hand down so I can see you.
We got a little bit off course, the coxswain did, and we run into an LST, and they started shooting at us with 30-06 rifles and submachine guns, and ensign hollers out, "You darn fools," he said, "we're United States." They thought it was a Japanese suicide swimmer, you know. So anyway, then we went on with that there. That was one of the deals we got with, and then another time we was running smoke screens, and our smoke generator caught on fire. Well, our ensign was in the battle when the Japs hit Pearl Harbor, and he got shell shocked, and he was kind of shell shocked, and we had TNT in our well deck of our boat, small boat, the Higgins boat, and then he grabbed we had 5 gallons of gas for the motor on the smoke generator, and he throwed the 5-gallon can in, and he says, "Every man overboard." And he jumped in after the 5-gallon can, well, which he shouldn't have ever done. See, he was supposed to let the crew go over first, and he would go in last. But being that he was that way, you know, and he was an awful good guy, we all stuck up for him. We said the flames hit him so hard that he just fell backwards off the boat. So he didn't get court-martialed. Oh, he was tickled to death over that. Well, anyway, when he got into the water, it was so comical in a way, and yet it wasn't. But he had these your life belts, you know, and they had battery in capsules where you'd squeeze them, and then it'd inflate and you'd come out into a great big, like an inner tube, you know, around your waist. Well, anyway, we all had them belts on, and we folded them over, and he, like, I don't know what made him do it, but he put his knife case on his fold over his belt. Well, anyway, when he jumped into the water, he squeezed the capsules, and it pulled his stomach up about this big, you know, and he couldn't get his wind, and I and the coxswain, we got a hold of him, and he was fighting us, you know, so we had to knock him out. And then I took and cut the belt, or the knife case off from his belt, and then it flared out. Well, he was all right, then got him into the boat. The Coast Guards come along and picked us up, and put us in, and the other crew, Ensign Hayes, he wasn't, he had all his senses with him. He never got excited too much, and he jumped over with his boatswain mate, and they drove the boat into the wind and took a fire extinguisher and put out the fire. And but anyway, they had this ensign up for a court-martial and for jumping over and leaving his crew on the boat. And so we stuck up for him. We all went in. And
where'd you go after that?
And then after we got done at Okinawa, we took and well, the Japs hit our ship, and well, a suicide plane. The ship never fired a shot in that fight at all, but the Jap suicide plane was coming in, and it was one of the Japanese pilots that was trying to get off the island. He didn't have no explosives aboard or nothing, but he blew up just like a great big, and his skin busted open, just like they'd give him some kind of a drug, you know.
Where'd he come from?
He was dead when he come down, and he hit in between our two gun turrets, and it bounced off into the water on the other side. And we took the plane and put it on our mast and took it back to the States with us when we went back to the States, and showing everybody what kamikaze.
So where else did you go after?
Yeah. Then after that, then I got transferred off the USS Aurelia, and I went on to a destroyer escort, and then we had to stay in Boston, Massachusetts for I suppose we stayed there a month. They give us motel rooms and everything, and the crew stayed there for about a month until that ship got finished. They were still building it, and when they finished it, well, then we went on a cruise and took it, and we went over to Haiti, and then they had a uprising while we was at Guantanamo Bay for a while. We went over there, went through the docks and everything, and went to Guantanamo Bay. We was there for a day or so, and then the natives had an uprising over in Haiti. They were going to kill the officers, and that, well, we tore over there about 60 miles an hour across the water in this destroyer escort, and I was working down in the fire room then, and I was pushing in burners and pulling out burners and keeping the ship going, and with the chief petty officer. And we went over there to Haiti, and when we got over there, they had dissolved all their problems, and it was all right. Then we come on back, and then we were off at Hawaii. Then
Philippines. In the Pacific. What ocean were you in?
Well, we was in the other ocean.
Atlantic?
Atlantic, yeah. I think it was Atlantic, yeah. It had to be. What Castro? What,
Cuba.
Cuba. We was at Cuba, and then we all got our points. You know, we had so many points to get out. And a bunch of us, we got our points, and then they decided that they'd ship us back to to Florida, and then we got shipped back to Florida on a plane, and then we landed at Florida, and we were supposed to stay there for 2 days. Well, they had different orders. We were supposed to wash all our blue uniforms up and have them all ready to go wherever we was going, you know, like some of us was going to Minnesota, and it was in February, so they had us wash all our blue uniforms, and then they put out over the loudspeaker all the people that was going to well, Chamberlain Airfield in Minneapolis would be at the docks in 5 minutes or 10 minutes with a full gear. Days I had to go and find a guy that was my size, so I get a blue uniform from him. Mine was all wet, so we had to be dressed blues. So one of the boys that was still there on the base there in Quonset with us, he gave me his uniform and I put it on. And then I went down there, and then we had to wait 5 hours, and then we went. But my uniform could have dried in that length of time, I guess. But anyway, then we flew to Walt Chamberlain Airfield. And boy, I tell you, it was 10 below in Walt Chamberlain. We'd been in 80 and 90 weather.
Did you get out to the Navy at that time?
Then they was mustering us out.
Okay.
We had 2 days there to stay at Minneapolis or Walt Chamberlain, and we. I found the first heat register in the barracks that I could find, right where I could sleep by it. But boy, I tell you, it was cold.
How bad it was. When you were in the Pacific, did you go to any other islands?
Oh yeah, we was at Guam. We played ball in Guam.
So Guam already had been taken care of.
Yeah.
How about the other islands?
No, we never.
Did you get into any combat situations?
No, just Okinawa is all I got into it. The war was just about, well, they ended the war in Germany.
Yeah.
When I was in Okinawa.
Okay.
And one of the guys, we was running maneuvers that night, you know, around the ship, and one of the guys hollers out, "Hey, the war's over in Germany." And the ensign, he says, "Well, we know the war's over in Germany." No, he says, "Really over." And they surrendered. Oh man, and there was a roar of everybody, horns honking and everything. Well, then it wasn't long till they had they dropped the atomic bomb.
Where were you at when that happened?
We was back in Florida then.
Okay. How'd you hear about it?
Well, we got it over the radio.
Okay.
But they announced it on the loudspeaker too. We was in Hawaii at the YPO base, and there we stayed. Well, it was about 2 or 3 months, or 2 months, I think we stayed in Hawaii when we got back from Okinawa. The Amphibious crew, and they took all the other crew in a ship and went out, and that's when they were holding that there, making that movie of John F. Kennedy, and our ship was in that fleet that made that movie of John F. Kennedy on
PT
boat. Yeah. And then when they come back, then we went back, and we come back to the States.
Well, did you?
But we went through the Panama Canal too. You know, that was fun going through.
How long were you in the Navy?
I was in 3 years, 10 months, 28 days.
Yeah, I bet you remember that.
I just almost signed up, re-enlisted.
What changed your mind?
I don't know. I don't know. I just changed my mind, and then I had a chance to go in afterwards too, and I didn't do that. And, they offered me a rating and everything. And I changed my mind. And, but I could have retired at 37 years old if I'd have stayed in. But I've had a good life, though. I went to work for the State Forest Service for 30 years.
Wow.
And worked for the Federal Forest Service for 8 years and retired from them. Now I'm working at the school over here.
Oh, you're busy man. James.
At 87 years old.
Well,
4.5 hours a day.
Thank you for talking to me today.
Okay.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for doing this.